Hiya, I'm Jasper, and welcome to your video review for RRR, or whatever the R's stood for. I don't know. It's RRR. Google that. So, it's a movie starring, honestly, a bunch of Indian dudes I've never heard of. Probably will never see in any other movie again. I'm just being honest with you. I'm sorry. This movie somehow made it to theaters, made it to Jeremy Johnson. He reviewed it, and I was like, all right, I'll watch it. And you know what? You should also watch it. It also has, like, the only name that I think you might recognize if you're not really heavily into the, like, Bollywood or Telugu type of movie scene is Ray Stevenson. Okay. So, this movie was ridiculous in a fantastic sort of way. What do I mean by that? Have you ever seen Shaolin Soccer or Kung Fu Hustle? It's like that, but with the Indian culture, and if it took itself more seriously, but in a good way. Cool? If that sounds appealing to you, then you'll enjoy this movie. To give you a little bit more detail, basically, one of the characters is a policeman who works for the British. This is during the British when they occupied India, and India is trying to free itself from British occupation. I like that they had in the opener scroll, it was basically hey, we're not trying to offend anybody. This is a work of fiction, and just enjoy it. We're not trying to badmouth anybody. So basically, so that they can depict the English as just the absolute fucking worst people in the whole goddamn world. Just they are caricatures of evil, and it's awesome because they lean into it. They're just hey, we get it. During this time frame, that's how the English were viewed, and kind of rightfully so. So I appreciated that. So anyway, one of these guys is the Indian dude working for the British, and he's just a super badass dude. And then we have this other guy who's trying to, he's a freedom fighter, and then basically some girl from his village gets kidnapped, and he's trying to go save her. And this movie is 3 hours long. It is 3 hours, but you know what? It needs to be that long. But it is also sort of Justice League, the Zack Snyder cut, where it was divided into 6 parts, so you could kind of pause between parts if you needed to go do some chores or something. This movie is divided into segments, so once you get to the end of a segment, you can probably pause and go take care of some other things. That being said, I'm not sure that you'll want to do that because I thought that this movie had some good motivation and driving, and how it's set up. The clash of these guys and the storyline, so much of it unfolds that it is just a real joy to watch as, there's a couple flashbacks and things are changing and motivation and how they meet and, who's doing what and who's thinking this, that, and the other thing, and just the things that happen when there's either miscommunication or, there just can't be that communication because things have to be held secret because of this, that, and the other thing. They did a really good job of the plot, the motivation, how the mysteries, as you will, unfold, and who's going to do what or how things are going to work out. I was interested throughout. The thing is that it's also I'm going to call it a Bollywood. I don't know if it's specifically Bollywood, but it's what comes to mind when I think of Bollywood. There are the music in this is very, very prevalent. It is the songs that go on, the lyrics to the song are kind of talking about, and they're almost narrating a couple times what this hero is doing what he needs to do the things that he has to do when he's doing the things that he needs. I mean, that's not the best thing in the world. I realize that, not the actual words, but you get the idea, okay? I don't sing. You get the idea. And while it's kind of funny on the one hand, they were so serious in what was happening in the action on screen and just the passion behind each of these guys that I wasn't laughing at the ridiculous things. I was yes. So even when they were having their dance numbers in there, as I feel I gotta be honest with you, I think the only other Bollywood movie I've seen is Sariya Wa from years ago, and that also had a lot of musical aspects to it. And then I also watched Eternals, which leads me to believe that a lot of Bollywood movies like to have their song and dance number even in serious movies. So that's my that's my frame for Bollywood movies. But I super love this one. Is the CGI the best throughout? No. I think it's decent for what it needs to be, but it's not Marvel Cinematic Universe good, okay? Oh, let me phrase that. It's not Marvel movies good. It might, at this point, it might be up to like Marvel TV show good. So, yeah. And animals play a pretty big part in a section. So if you like animals, doing animal things, and to a huge extent, you're going to want to watch this movie. But yeah, the motivations are just fantastic. I will say that, so I watched this on Netflix. And so what I remember of Sarwaiya, I'm probably mispronouncing that, is that they ADR'd the whole movie by the people who were doing it, but in a way they were like, the lips didn't quite match up. Like when America Cinema does ADR, I feel like they do it to the point where you don't notice that, like, oh, the ground was crunchy that day as they walked over something, so the actors just ADR'd it afterwards so that you didn't hear that crunch, so it was just them and the mic, and it matches entirely. From what I remember, Saria, it did not match, and I was like, why don't they take that extra little bit? And then I also think of like, I think it was like Rumble in the Bronx, where they just ADR'd again over top of it, or I don't know. It's weird that it felt like they were ADRing, but not really matching up. Like really Ray Stevenson ADR'd himself, but it didn't quite match. Even though I know it was him doing his own ADR, after dialogue recording, sorry. So it was odd to me. But I went through the different audio options, and Hindi was the closest to what was actually going on screen, where like the lip movements matched enough times. And then their English people were speaking English, and I had like the subtitles on, just because I watch subtitles a lot. And I couldn't figure out like why they would miss it so much. Well, I found out later that I think this movie was actually filmed in Telugu, I think is the, and so Hindi is not actually the correct language, but for some fucking reason Netflix doesn't have the Telugu language. It has like 5 different options, including now an English dub, apparently. I'm not gonna watch that. But like, you have all these different language options. Just have the original fucking language on there so that we can see as close as possible to like, are they actually just being lazy with the ADR, or is that like or do they actually have the lip movements that actually match up because that's the language it was filmed in? Come on, Netflix, don't suck. If somebody knows of a streaming service somewhere that does have the correct language that it was filmed in, or if you watch it in the correct language and you know whether or not the lip movements added up or if it was lazy ADR, let me know in the comments down below, please, because I couldn't find one. That being said, again, this movie is absolutely fantastic. The motivation, the care, like you feel for all of these guys. And yeah, some of it is, like I said, a lot of it is just pushed to the absolute ridiculous extent for like the strength of these guys and how they're doing things. Like it's not like the Hulk, like it's not Hulk smash, but like clearly these guys are doing things that, like think if you will, of an American movie, like somebody has a shotgun and they blast somebody and that person goes flying through the door, like do shotguns actually do that? No, not really. They don't make people go flying through the door. Much like when somebody like punches somebody, they're not going to go and just like flying away. They, again, not to like Hulk extent or superhero extent, but to like a little beyond the normal, but in such a good way. And I feel like it is internally consistent to the capabilities of the characters and the people in this movie. So it's ridiculous in a consistent way, in a very enjoyable way. And they make liberal but appropriate use of slow-mo. So a lot of good slow-mo in this, just absolutely awesome. There's some callbacks, some references, foreshadowing. They just got all of the elements here. So if you can stand watching the close-ish Hindi version on Netflix, if for some weird-ass reason you like watching the English dub of things, I mean, good on you, I guess. I just can't stand those. Or if you can find the original Telugu, give this movie a shot. It is worth the 3 hours. If you watch the first segment and a half and you're just still not into it, fine. But I think that this movie is worth it. I hope that more movies like this manage to make their way to American cinema, because, like, I liked the the storyline and how things unfolded. It wasn't apologetic about what it was leaning into and the story that it was providing. It wasn't trying to shame people. Like, it wasn't like, yeah, the British were shown as comically evil, but it wasn't like trying to shame the British for current days. It's not like being like, Britain, you need to be sorry about this forever. Like, this is it wasn't like that. It wasn't preachy. That's what I'm getting at. It was not preachy. It had a storyline, and it had good guys and bad guys and things happening, but it wasn't apologetic and it wasn't preachy. So, fantastic movie. Thumb up. That's all I have for this one. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you at the next one. Bye.